So we start with structure, and whereas PAX, it provides that structure. It's a nice foundation for it. And after you get the structure and for them to be able to, function in a classroom, then they can take in academics. So you kind of need like that baseline first.
Always having a new program can sometimes be difficult, but it worked right into everything that we were already doing. Using PAX sticks, which are just pulling out sticks, something that you think is so easy, but it means a lot to the kids, random choosing. So it's just good classroom practices.
The whole idea with the PAX Good Behavior Game is that we're giving teachers an hour to 2 hours more of engaged learning and more teacher time for implementing their curriculum. So that's really the foundation. That's teaching children self-regulation, really the same way that you would use strategies to teach children math and science. So they're doing that with behavior without losing time from curriculum. The take home is really that the PAX Good Behavior Game is about teaching children to self-regulate in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And it is not taking away from curriculum, it's allowing teachers to implement behavior strategies into everything that they're doing throughout the school day so that students can have that engaged learning. And the long-term effects, if students can self-regulate, they're not going to have coping mechanisms that are dangerous, such as alcohol and substance use.
What we were looking for at Porter was a way to really set a very specific standard for what our expectations were in the classroom in terms of behavior and working together. But we also were looking for a way to bring some joy back into what we call school. So when we looked at some of the research-based programs that were out there, PAX really just stood out as the only option. And so we implemented PAX over at Porter. We saw some great gains, and when the district asked me to transfer over to Fraser, one of the things I knew I had to bring with me was PAX. And we have seen a significant decrease in our disciplinary incidents here at Fraser. When we compare ourselves to the same time period from last year, we have reduced our number of referrals by over 2,000. So, and as you can see, just the feeling in the building is a lot more calm than it was last year. Kids are happier, staff attendance is up, which is another measure for me about how well we're doing as a school. And I really attribute that to the foundation that PAX allows you to set collaboratively with your scholars. PAX helps you set those standards and expectations and behavioral routines and things like that, but at the same time it makes school fun. And I would think that the teachers would support me on that, because you see a change in the staff when you bring something like PAX into, because there's less yelling, there's less reminding students about negative behaviors. It's more about praising the positive and using your classroom community to lift everyone up. We know that PAX is something that we need to continue to weave into the fabric of Fraser School.
We are going to play Pirates. When we play Pirates,
the end prize it's an intrinsic prize. It's called the Granny's Wacky Prize, where you will do a reward for like a minute or maybe like 28 seconds. They really seem to really enjoy that. And then at other times we'll go to the Granny's Wacky Prize and we'll brainstorm ideas of what other prizes we could put in the bag. And then you go and you pull out. And usually if there are things that they want to do that they put in the bag, they're working even harder for it because it was their ideas.
let's do pirate. Arr! Arr! Seasick! Shark! 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 Swim! 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 Land ho! Land ho!
The goal, or part of the goal that I appreciate from PAC, is as much as the student management component, but the self-regulation component, because that's a life skill. When students learn that, one, I have to maintain myself in the learning environment, I have to work collaboratively with my peers in the learning environment, that's a life skill. Teachers who have experience with PACs have said it changes the entire school. So Meacham has been a PAC school all along. And that was one of the things the principal from Meacham shared with me, that they could see that transition in their building from students going from K all the way to 5. And so rather than focusing just on the lower grades, they made their building an entire PAC school. So behaviorally, what we're seeing with our students who are engaged with PAX is that this particular year we've had 0 office referrals, and that number has declined. Last year we had 7, the year before we had 17, the year before that it was 200 and something, and prior to that was 350 something. So we've gone from over 300 to 0, and it's because we're teaching children how to manage themselves. And I think that's the best testimony for PAX, that once we begin to change the individual child within themselves, and they learn now and when can I do this, you ultimately change the behaviors you see. They know that they will be heard, they will be seen, they'll be spoken to, their needs will be met, but time and place.
This is a very trauma-informed approach on dealing with behavior, which means using a harmonica instead of using a high voice will be less triggering to a student that's maybe had trauma where there's been yelling or disruption in their life before. So the non-emotional response to talking about the behavior is really important, and also not calling a student out when a student has made a mistake. I think that's one of the biggest pieces, is students are learning that it's okay to make mistakes. PAX works because it's an evidence-based, trauma-informed approach that gets student buy-in and teacher buy-in.
So it teaches children that critical skill of self-regulation, of time and place, for long-term success. So the little piece is I sit still in my seat for 5 minutes as a first grader, but it ultimately means I can sit in a 3-hour lecture when I go to college.
We would not be able to make the gains that we have made behaviorally, academically, socially, especially in terms of the climate and culture of this building, if we did not have PAX and the support of Contact and Oasis. So we're really, really thankful for all the opportunities that have been presented to us, but we know that PAX is something that we need to continue to weave into the fabric of Fraser School.